Hello, the king of Comic-Con, Zac Levi. How are you, sir?
I'm a duke. I'm a duke or an earl. I don't know. I think Stan Lee is still the king of Comic-Con.
That's true. That's true. We are here at Nerd HQ. I want you to take me through very briefly how you went from guy who goes to Comic-Con because he can't get chicks, and we all know that's the story, to guy who now is running Nerd HQ and has his own panels and doing all that you're doing.
Well, the girl hunt has been difficult. And
well, look at him.
That's why I started
ladies.
an event. See, I just bring the girls to me. Look, I've been really lucky because Chuck was it was a fan favorite type of a show.
You were on Chuck?
Newsflash, everybody.
This is the same guy. Okay, go ahead.
And we got to come down with the show. We were kind of in one of those earlier transitional years where we weren't exactly sci-fi, but it started becoming an entertainment con, and we were just enough sci-fi where we got to come down with the show, and the nerd culture audience embraced us. And it was like, the first year we had 2,000 people in a hall, and it was standing ovation watching our pilot, and it was amazing. And to the point where, by the last season we had 6,000 people standing ovations. You felt like a Beatle at Shea Stadium. I mean, it's a really intense kind of love. But every year I just kind of felt like there were little things that I just wished that I could do as far as the way that I interacted with fans. And we would come to the end of our panels and you'd have like maybe 5 minutes left over for fans to ask questions. And I always kind of felt like, well, there's 150,000 of them down here. It seems that the best way for me to utilize my time is to spend a little time with them and say, hey, what do you want to know? Because we have amazing journalists that would ask us, that would be our moderators on our panels. But they get to ask us questions every year. And I really wanted the fans who don't get that opportunity to have that. And that's why we have unmoderated panels at our thing. And they're crazy and off the cuff and ridiculous.
So and by the way, this is not the cast-offs. This is not the also rants. Talk about some of the people that you're doing panels for this year that the fans can get up and stand up and ask questions of.
Well,
it's an insane lineup. I mean, how do you
I consider them cast-offs.
How do you get like Doctor Who and stuff like that,
Well, we've been really lucky and really blessed that, working in entertainment, you make certain friendships with different people. Matt Smith and I happened to do a panel together for TV Guide a couple years back at the main con, and he saw me wearing my Nerd HQ stuff, and he was like, hey, what's that all about? And I explained it, and I said, we do these panels that are intimate for the fans, and we raise money for charity. And he says, that's awesome, I want to do that with you. I said, great. And so then he did, and he brought his other cast members, and Matt and I have become really good friends over the years.
Could you be the first American Doctor Who?
I would love to be the first.
Dude, the job's open, man.
Dude, I would love to be.
He could write
There's a lot of British characters that I'd love to be the first American version of, including Bond.
The Brits are coming over here and they're Batman and they're Spider-Man.
No, which is, to me, even more reason why I should have a shot.
It's offensive.
Yeah.
It's offensive.
Yeah.
All right.
The Brits would never stand for it. But yeah, Joss Whedon's doing a panel. He did one for us last year. Nathan Fillion's doing a couple. He's a total mensch. Like, he's one of my best buddies. Seth Green just did a panel today. We got Doctor Who.
Tell us about Orphan Black, which we love.
Orphan Black was something that actually kind of came to us.
Love it.
I'm so glad that you guys like
great.
it. Yeah, I've been so tied up with. First, I was actually living in London when I was shooting Thor, and then I came back.
That's a humble brag, though, right?
It's completely humble.
Living in London.
So when I was doing this
Thor,
Marvel
what were you guys
movie,
doing?
Let me tell you all about that. No, but I was really out of the television loop for a long time. And then when I came back, I've now been living in New York doing a Broadway show. So my whole life has been, there's like Maze Runner, for example, is a film that we're doing a panel for. And when I was called and said, hey, Maze Runner really wants to do a panel for you, I was like, that's great. What's Maze Runner? I don't even know. But then, of course, I looked it up. I'm like, oh, we are stoked. Like, this is a really good get for us. And to me, that's one of the coolest things. The first year, I was literally calling my friends, like Dominic Monaghan and Jorge Garcia and Olivia Munn, and I was saying, look, I'm doing this thing. I can't even really explain to you what it is, other than you're going to do panels like you do at Comic-Con, but it's really small.
So this is Slam Dance to Sundance, basically. This is kind of the alternate universe of Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Unofficial, and the best thing about it is twofold. You don't have to be able to get tickets to the main event to be able to come.
Sure.
Anyone can walk up and buy a ticket for $22, right?
Sure. Well, they can, but typically they sell out pretty fast online before we even open the doors. But theoretically you can.
And
yes.
part two is, tell us about the charity angle, because that's new and different for down here.
Yeah, so
I love that.
Thank you, I appreciate that. When I was trying to figure out basically, how do you, I'm all about incentive. I think life runs on incentive. So to me, you want to incentivize the fans and give them something that's really special, which is a very intimate look at their celebrities and an hour to ask them questions if they're bold enough to do so. So that there's incentive for them, and it's not that expensive. It's $20, 22 with the charges or whatever. And then the celebrities, I was like, well, how do I incentivize them to just give me an hour of their time? And if I say, look, I'm not making any money off of you. This is you just donating an hour of your time, and every penny of those sales goes to charity. All of a sudden, the celebrity. Oh, and by the way, you get to interact with your fans in a really, really fun way where there are no rules. They kind of go,
sell now, all of a sudden.
yeah, and they go, yeah, you know what, I could try that out. And anyone who has done it has immediately pretty much come back to us the next year and said, I can't wait to do it again, because it really is special. Like Doctor Who last year, they ended up singing half of Bohemian Rhapsody just because, because Matt and Arthur and Karen were like, oh, we're gonna sing now, and they get to tell their own anecdotes, and sometimes, Damon Lindelof and Seth Grahame-Smith, they did a whole just like we're just talking about writing in Hollywood, and they had cocktails in hand. They almost answered no questions. They were just telling people what it's like to be a writer in Hollywood, which can be a really tough job.
Is the only place to see and hear all this to be here in person, or is this archived or podcasted or anything else?
That's an excellent question. There's a lot of archiving and stuff that goes on, but the big thing we do is we live stream all of this to the world. So if you weren't lucky enough to either get a ticket, or you weren't even able to get to Comic-Con at all, you can watch it all as it's happening live, and then it gets archived on YouTube. So I wanted to make sure that everybody still got an opportunity to see the fun that we have.
Explain what's going on out here.
So part of other elements that came to mind when I was trying to create all this was there's like a nerd trifecta. There's Comic-Con, there's CES, and there's E3. And CES, the Electronics Expo, and E3, the Gaming Expo, are both closed to the public. Like, you have to be a professional with a badge to get in.
Right.
And I've been really lucky because of Hollywood and all that nonsense that I just get to, I'm a professional or whatever.
You're James Bond.
Sure, why not? But Comic-Con obviously is a fan event, and I was like, well, it's basically the same demographic in each one of these. These same people would love to see and have access. So what I wanted to offer at Nerd HQ was a little bit of all those. So you get gaming and you get tech all kind of scattered throughout, and ways to activate and get other sponsors involved and stuff, because it's an expensive event. I mean, you can't just do it.
Right.
But it's also really fun when you have Xbox coming in with like games that aren't even on the market yet, that the professionals all got access to at E3, but the fans still haven't got to play yet. So we want to give those exclusives. We want fans to feel like this is a one-stop shop for everything.
What's it like for you, Zach, to walk around amongst your fans? People must be surprised to see that you run this thing, but you're actually on the floor and you're running around and meeting people, and anybody can come up and talk to you. What's that like for you?
I like it. I think.
It's a lot of access compared to most actors.
You know what it is, but I've always tried to maintain an element of like, if I have the time for you in that moment, you got my time. And if I don't, I'll let you know, hey, I don't have time right now, but can you hit me later? And as long as you're honest and cool with people, they're incredibly responsive to that. I think that it's when you start assuming that people are just, these vampires that want your time and want your energy, that people start getting really like, oh, you got to leave me alone. But if you just assume that they're actually decent people and you level with them, they're like, oh, cool, no problem.
Most of the time.
There are some pretty interesting fans out there,
sure.
But look, I'm also a big believer that in the entertainment world, because look, you strip all this down and we're all just throwing on clown makeup and doing what we do, and you're only as good as your audience, and you need to foster that and you need to take care of that and appreciate the fact that we work in entertainment.
Yeah,
when the apocalypse happens, none of us are valuable anymore.
Right.
You need people who know how to grow food and hunt game, not guys who are yucking on the radio or on television. Okay. We become food. That's what happens.
Final moments with Zachary Levi here on the Kevin Amine Show, talking about Nerd HQ here at Comic-Con 2013. One of the panels that has been advertised is you with mystery guests.
Yeah.
Now that's just a way to sell a bunch of tickets, right? Because what can you tell us about that?
Well, I'm fortunate enough that at my own events I can sell out my own panels. But what happened last year was we had a slot for a panel that ended up falling out. We couldn't do it. And so we were scrambling and trying to figure out, well, what do we do with that slot? And I said, well, why don't we, and I had a lot of friends that were in town, but sometimes it's tough, like their time is very limited and they're everywhere. And so I go, oh, look, just put it on the site as it's a mystery panel with me and my friend.
What it is.
Because you have no idea what's happening.
No. But again, I think that a lot of fans will buy it simply because it's like, hey, it's another Zach panel, and we'll go even if it's just Zach and Schmucko, whoever Schmucko is.
Oh, I love Schmucko.
Schmucko's great.
Awesome.
When he puts the nose on, he's
can't wait for this movie to come out.
Schmucko and the dinosaurs. It's going to be huge.
So can you tell us anything about the mystery panel? Give us a hint, or
I can tell you that you will not be disappointed.
Do you know
Do I know who's on the panel?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I don't know. Like,
Oh
you're
no,
still waiting on a phone call?
No, absolutely.
All right.
Well, sometimes we're lenient, or we can bend enough where if somebody else wants to jump on, we can do that. But we've already got four other panelists for the panel, and everyone will be very happy.
So you have June and Sugar Bear and Honey Boo Boo. You got the whole family, right?
Stop blowing it, Bean.
All right, Zach. We'll have a great time here in San Diego. It's great that we got a chance to hook up with you. I
Thank you
love
guys
what
so
you're
much.
doing here.
Thank you.
Website for people who want to check it out?
TheNerdMachine.com.
Fantastic. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks, guys.